Hey you guys, today we're gonna be doing something really fun. This is something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, probably since I was a kid and admiring movies before I really even took my art seriously. I wasn't always a big fan of film, but I always had an admiration for the visual artistry behind some of the scenes that I saw, and I've always wanted to capture them into these paintings. So this year I decided that it would be a good idea for a New Year's resolution, a very late New Year's resolution, to get past my fear of drawing anything without a face on it and paint movie scenes as much as I can. So I bought this really inexpensive sketchbook and some gouache to take off some of that pressure out of it and just enjoy this whole process as much as I can. But of course I'd still want to try to do justice to these scenes that I'm trying to portray. We're starting off with one of my recent favorite movies called Sicario. This movie was really brutal. I think for most of its runtime it was very hard for me to watch. It was very tense, but then there would be these scenes that are just shot so beautifully. Particularly, I think the night scenes, I think they stand out the most. And at the time when I was watching it, I didn't even know that the great Roger Deakins was the DP for this. So yeah, the night scenes in these movies are just so beautiful. The bar scene when Daniel Kaluuya and Emily Blunt were just hanging out, the colors in that scene were absolutely amazing. And I would have painted that, but I feel like the most iconic scene from the whole movie was the descent into the tunnel. The contrast between the beautiful sunset and the harshness of these people who are about to do something really horrible is just mind-blowing. And if you've seen this movie, you're probably already thinking of the score that went along with this scene. That was awesome. So yeah, that's why I went with this scene in particular. I'm doing this in my sketchbook, which isn't meant to hold that much water, and it really showed. Holy cow, did this paper warp. I'm using gouache, so I didn't really anticipate using too much water for the painting, but getting the proper consistency to mix these colors for the sunset was very important to get that really nice gradient. So I really needed that water to blend all those colors together. This is my second attempt at painting this, and I guess it's just my inexperience with painting sunsets that made me oversimplify the colors on my first attempt. I looked at the scene and just assumed that it was just orange slowly fading into blue, which is why I had completely messed it up. There are nuances to these colors, like the white that was needed to get that brightness before it goes into blue from the orange, and then the different shifts of blue that was in there. Those things just weren't captured on my first attempt. So yeah, it really took a lot of time to get those colors to blend into each other, and it also took a lot of adjustment in the consistency, which again required a lot of water. So you can see that it really took its toll on my paper. There's so much warping going on, but that's okay. A big part of the journey to learning something new for me is to really take the pressure out of it. So if I don't use my watercolor paper, I wouldn't think it was such a waste when I messed it up, because those things are really expensive, and I really wanted to do as much of these as I can, at least until they stopped intimidating me. then the people in the foreground are also very important, just as important as the background. Usually I choose one over the other, but in this case, getting the details right with these silhouettes is just as crucial as getting the gradient and the colors for the background. I really wanted this to look harsh, to get the details of their uniforms and the weapons right, to get as much of those folds and the sharp corners of their uniforms. And that was really challenging for me because I don't draw a lot of these military things. So really I just took as much as I can get from the screenshots I took of the scene. Still, painting and drawing these people took about an hour, which is twice as much time as I took on the background, which I was already struggling with. I thought was really important when filling out these silhouettes was that I didn't just choose a very flat dark black. I tried to use some brown in there and some blues, especially for the people farther back. I used a warmer sort of brown for them. I've noticed that you don't really see a lot of these tiny details on film, but in person you can see their impact better. And I tried to do the same thing with the clouds. Some of them are more brown, some of them are a lighter blue and gray. Trying to get some kind of variations in there, which are things that you don't really pick up when you look at these scenes for the first time. So that's it for the video. I really liked how this one turned out. I finally have a fan art for this movie that I don't hate, so that's a good sign. Minor thing that bothers me now looking at it is that I think the distance between the clouds seem too consistent. I think I should have clumped some of them together to make them look more organic. But other than that, I really enjoyed doing this painting, so I hope you guys enjoy watching it too. I'll see you soon.